My guest today is a multi-talented Kathryn Smith-McGlynn. Her body of work is very impressive. She is a theater actor, film and television actor, director, producer, writer, and scholar. Her on-screen work includes As the World Turns, Better Call Saul, The Maze Runner, Pulse, Friday Night Lights, and my favorite, Grey's Anatomy, and The Cleaning Lady, to mention a few. She also wrote a one-woman show about the life of Harriet Tubman and the history of the Underground Railroad. In addition to her work in entertainment, she has also worked in academia as an adjunct professor at John Paul the Great Catholic University in Southern California. I could go on, but I would rather let her tell you about herself. Please welcome Kathryn Smith-McGlynn. Hi.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
I'm glad to see you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I remember the first time we met. Was it been about a year ago?
Yes.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. It was fantastic. So when I got the invitation to come onto your show, of course I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm there."
Kathryn, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoy meeting you and attending the panel discussion you were part at last year's Brave Maker
Mhm.
Film Festival here in River City. To start, what do you remember most about the festival?
Ah, you know what? That was the first time I had attended the festival. I've known Tony for a few years now, and I tell you, I came away from the festival really just inspired. There were so many projects there. And what I loved about it the most was seeing so many creative artists just not waiting for permission to create their art and just taking the bull by the reins, but bull by the horns. I think that's how you say it. Um, yeah, so that was the most inspiring part to me in seeing everyone's projects come to fruition. So yeah, Brave Maker, that's Tony has really built something phenomenal and really special. Yeah.
For people who may not know you yet,
Hmm.
how would you describe yourself and the work that you love to do?
That's a big question. Let me see if I can answer that one. How would I describe myself in the work that I do? I think I would describe myself as a free explorer. What I mean by that is just um, I like to create different characters and tell stories on projects that really excite me and that just really kind of light me up inside. I feel like my path in life is not prescribed. It never has been. Uh, the path my path meanders. It's not a straight line. And so I would describe my path as just as that, just being an explorer that's free to choose the type of roles that she wants to embody, free to choose the type of stories that she wants to tell. And I just never know what that's going to be from one project to the next. And so that in itself to me is very exciting.
Thank you for sharing. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up and what was your
Ooh.
childhood like?
Well, it wasn't that long ago, um, I grew up. My father worked for IBM, which is big computer company. And some people, it stands for International Business Machines, but some people say it stands for I've been moved. And that's because as a kid, we moved around quite a bit, kind of like maybe a kid that's whose parents are in the military. And so I've lived in different cities all over the country, in different cultures. And so for me, I think actually that's what has drawn me to the creative field. Also, as being an actor, because we're kind of uh, travelers. You travel where the work is, no matter what side of the country or side of the world it's on. And so growing up that way, I had to learn how to make friends fast, you know, and just learn how to, I don't want to say fit in, because I was never one to assimilate into my environment. I was always the kid that wanted to be a little different, wear my hair differently, wear different types of clothes than everybody else. But I do love community, and I love the feeling of finding your tribe, so to speak, the folks that you really click with. And I would say that the formative years of my life, though, as a kid, I would say from fifth grade, I was like around 10 years old, all the way actually through college. We were a little bit more stable, and I lived in Michigan. I grew up there in a suburb called Southfield, Michigan, which is near and dear to my heart. And then I went off to school at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So I have a special place in my heart for Michigan, and everywhere I've ever worked or lived around the world. Whenever I run into a Michigander, I can always feel it. I feel it right here. So yeah, I'm a Midwestern girl, I think, at heart.
So I'm going to a wedding in Michigan for the first time in October.
Get
And I've never
out.
been there before. And I'll be in we're gonna fly to see my sister in New York and then go to
Hmm.
Michigan. So any advice?
Any advice? What time of in October you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. So, as you know, living in California, we don't always get to see the seasons change, right? Like the trees, we don't get to see the leaves, unless you live further north or where it's a little bit cooler. But in Southern California, it's kind of hard to see that. Now in Michigan, fall is one of the most beautiful times of the year because you get to see all the leaves change and the crispness of the air. One of my favorite. Okay, this is what you need to do. I'm just going to tell you this, and anyone out there that's watching from my hometown of Southfield, Michigan, or anywhere in Michigan, will know all about Franklin's Cider Mill. Michigan in the fall is about hot donuts and apple cider. And back in the day when we used to bob for apples, I don't think they do that anymore. But I would say check out Franklin Cider Mill. Make sure that you get some of those hot donuts coming right off of the conveyor belt. Much better than any type of other donuts that you get now, these artisanal donuts. No, you just want the plain donut with some nice apple cider. I would say make sure that you dress well because the temperature might dip. You won't have to worry about snow, though. I don't think so. That'll be a good time.
Thanks. When did you realize you wanted to pursue acting?
When I was 10 years old and I was in fifth grade. And that was my first year in living in Michigan, actually. We had been living in Oklahoma City and also St. Louis. And my dad was transferred to Michigan, which is how we ended up there. And I tried out for Tom Sawyer and I played Aunt Polly. And that's when it hit that bug. Oh man, it just hit. And I was like, this is it. This is my calling right here. So it was a fairly young age that I discovered really what I wanted to be. Yeah, it was a great time.
I'm glad you got that dream at 10 because it's rare. A lot of child stars are out there and they
Yeah.
want to be like 5 or even younger. So when
Hmm.
you're like a little bit older than that, then you like
Yeah.
know what to expect in the business.
Yes, yes. You know what to expect in the business. And I always admire child actors that are still in the game. They're still in the industry, whether they're in front of the camera, behind the camera, producing, directing, or writing, to have that kind of stamina in any industry really is very commendable.
Yes. You have worked on stage, in
Hmm.
television, and in film. Out of
Yeah.
all these different areas, what is your first love?
Ooh. Do I have to choose? Okay. If I was backed into a corner and I had to choose, um, my first love, you said my first love, and I
Yes.
can confidently say my first love is theater. Because as I'm Polly, of course, that was on stage, so that was theater. And there's something about being on a stage in a theater or a black box, which is a smaller theater space. There's nothing like it. When I walk into a theater, I just feel like I'm home. I'm home. That's where my heart is.
I like theater too.
Yeah.
I like the audience and the applause after the performance and
Mm,
more interaction and
hmm.
you dance and sing and just it's a different vibe than being on television.
Right. And there's no cut, right? So if you miss your line or you flub, you just got to keep going, right?
Yes.
Kind of makes it a little more daring, I
Mhm.
think, right?
Yes. What made you move towards working in film and television?
What made me move towards film and television? Um, you know what? I'm trying to see if there's I think as an actor, especially, I worked in New York City for a while. And I think especially when you're in a major um, metropolis where or either New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco, you can't help but be drawn in by television and film. And actually, my first foray into that was in Chicago. I spent some time, several years actually, in Chicago doing theater and segued into doing commercial work and broadcast, non-broadcast as well, which is like corporate videos. And I found out that wow, okay, here's another part of the business where I can continue to tell stories, uh, albeit selling a product or what have you, and I can continue to make a living as an actor. And so it became a way to supplement my income as an actor on stage, and I just really kind of fell in love with it too. I fell in love with the medium of being immersed in that camera's right up in your face, as opposed to on theater where the audience is so far away, right? And so there's definitely a different vibe when you're working with film and television, uh, and you're being immersed into that world. So I liked bouncing back and forth, actually, because even though you're in the world of storytelling, uh, it's a little different. It's a little different in you uh, how you convey yourself because the camera's right in front of your face. So if I have large movements on camera, depending on the role, it might not look as real as it would on stage because you're far away and you have larger movements. But on camera, you have to kind of keep things tight within that frame. But you know, it's been a great journey actually, going back and forth between my theater work and then going over to film and television. So I like being able to have that choice.
Looking back on your career so far,
Mhm.
is there one experience that sounds out as your favorite?
Uh, I have so many. I really, really do. I think the ones that stick out the most are the ones where there's a true ensemble, whether it's on stage or on film. I've done so many plays where, actors, directors, the stage managers, costumers, production crew, we all come together, and for 2 to 3 months, we're family, and it's hard to say goodbye at the end of a show run. So those moments are so special, so special. Um, and with film as well, because when on film you're on the set there in a very intimate um, environment with the director and the crew and everyone else. Um, and so I feel like projects where there's a true ensemble and there's a bunch of us there just kind of like, you know, putting all of our little pieces and bits into the soup, mixing it all up and just cooking, you know?
Thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
In a creative career, people sometimes face challenges
Hmm.
along the way. What has helped you stay encouraged and keep going?
My mother,
Mhm.
my mom. Oh man. I tell you, I don't know. She might have to change her phone number so that, I can't reach her because I talk to her every day, right? Every day, multiple times a day. Um, and she gives me the encouragement that I need. And actually, my entire family, my dad, I have a brother, one brother and one sister, my husband, my kid, my child. I have an 18-year-old, and everyone has been so supportive throughout my entire life. Even when I decided that I was going to major in theater in college, and my parents were just like, okay, you know, they weren't surprised that that was what I wanted to do. But they did not hold me back. And whenever I feel like getting off the horse, I'm like, oh my gosh, the business, I can't take it anymore. It's so dramatic, right? My mom in particular just reminds me uh, of my God-given talents, and that you have to have faith. You really have to have faith. And so I would say for anyone out there, whether you're trying to be a creative artist or you're just out there trying to find your way, find your people, find your community, um, your family, your safety net, because you can't do this alone. I could not fathom doing this alone, and I'm just so glad and so grateful, that I've got my people.
What advice would you give to people who are working towards a dream?
I would say, like before, I would say find your people, right? Hold on to them for dear life, right? I think having community is so important. Um, Not just for the support, but finding community that you can build things with so that you're not waiting for your opportunity, right? You're creating your own opportunities. And that's key. That's key no matter what endeavor that you are pursuing, especially now, depending on the powers out there to kind of, send you little crumbs that you can gobble up, and everybody's going after those little crumbs. Um, that can lead to a place where you're not actually creating your own forward momentum, you know? And there's so many tools out there and so many creative avenues and creative communities that you can belong to, like a Brave Maker, right? To find your people, find your inspiration, and have the faith that you have the tools and you have the talent to make these things happen yourself, right? And I would say definitely find your community and just start making stuff. If that's, what you want, go after it. Don't wait for it.
If you're still teaching, what do you enjoy most about it?
I am still teaching, and actually I have a class that we're starting next Monday. Yeah, next Monday. I'm going to be teaching the business of acting. And you know what I love the most about teaching is seeing the light bulb go off. You know, if I'm teaching, let's say, I so many things stick out about teaching because I've taught acting classes where someone that has never acted before will come in and, you know, kind of lost and just having a lot of energy, and just seeing that pupil, seeing that student grow from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester. And then years later, when you see them actually securing professional work, there's nothing warms my heart like that, you know? And I've even taught little ones, taught them improv and acting, and just seeing, you know, acting is child's play. And by that, I mean, you have to have a child's imagination. You have to continue to have that whimsy about you. Um, and so teaching the little ones actually reminds me how brilliant the imagination can be, right? Um, and so, yeah, I love teaching. It's very gratifying.
One of my favorite TV shows is Grey's Anatomy. So I like to know,
Ooh.
I know you had a cameo on it, and how was that experience?
Oh my gosh. Well, I got to meet Jesse Williams, so come on now.
Yeah.
That's what you people usually ask me. They're just like, "How's Jesse Williams?" He was very, very, he was very nice, actually, very nice, very pleasant. And actually, I I was really nervous going on the show because, I mean, it's Grey's Anatomy, and it's been around forever, and you come on set, and when you're a guest star on a set, you are coming into someone else's family, really, right? And it's
Mhm.
like being a new person at the dinner table. And it's like, hi, here I am. And so there's that anxiety that goes into that and wanting to do a great job, not wanting to, just think, oh my gosh, don't mess up, Catherine, don't mess up. But when I got to set, everyone was just so warm and welcoming, all the actors and the director and everybody in the crew, and they just welcome you in, you know? So, yeah, working on Grey's Anatomy, I highly recommend it.
Um, I know like right after my birthday, how do you feel about Eric Dane passing away on February
Oh,
19th?
oh gosh. Yeah. That was um that was incredibly sad and painful. I watched his final message to his children, and having a child myself, it just or if there's anyone that you love and have a connection to, and that you want to see just not just succeed in life, because we always talk about being successful, right? What is that? There's different things to different people, but just talking about living life to its fullest, you know I think that his final message is something that will live on in my memory for a very long time.
Me too, and I always will love Max Damon and Eric Dane.
Well,
Yeah, I can't help it.
you can't help it.
No. So, what is next for you? What projects and goals you are excited about in the future?
I'm excited right now because I'm actually creating. I'm picked up the pen and or typing. Well, I'm kind of old school, so I like to write longhand. And I am working on a few projects, some that I'm dusting off, that I had written before, and some that are brand new. So stay tuned.
I will. Before we finish, I'd love to ask, is there a role or project you still dream of doing someday?
Ah, yes, yes. You know what? Um, I would love to play Lady Macbeth. I would love to just kind of sink my teeth into that role in the Scottish play. We'll call it the Scottish play. Um, Either on stage or on film, uh, or perhaps filmed on stage. Now that would be good.
That would
Uh,
be.
yeah, right. So let's put that out into the universe. Anyone watching, if you have a
Mm,
production of the Scottish play, keep me in mind.
yeah, I hope so. Don't blink. You might miss the rapid fire questions. Ready, set, go. Let's have some fun with a few rapid fire questions. You have to answer them quickly as possible.
Uh
Are you ready?
oh, I'm not sure. Okay, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. If you were not doing the career, what other career would you choose?
Singer,
Where was your favorite place you traveled to?
Bali,
Who has influenced your life?
my mother,
What's your favorite type of food?
macaroni and cheese, my mom's.
Homemade.
Yes.
Kathryn, thank you so much for spending time with me today and sharing your story. It's been wonderful getting to know you better. I really appreciate you being here, and we wish you the very best at all your future projects. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was great.